Once you're ready to start sewing, the first thing we're going to do is worry about the face. So I just unpin my name tag. Make sure you don't lose it. Might be good to keep your safety pin with your name tag. And whatever side is going to be the front gets face. We're not worrying about the back side. You will need some thread that is a very different color than your project. It needs to be a contrasting color. That way we can see it very well on your project. And if you want to use buttons for eyes, you can. Otherwise, we can just sew on a very simple shape. Every table is going to have a needle threader that we're going to share. So we have the needle. This is the stabby end. This right here is called the eye. So when we're trying to thread this, we're going to take the needle threader and put this very, very thin wire through the eye so it sticks out. And then we take the end of your thread, I'm going to use the end that's not all fuzzy, and we stick it in that little wire, and then you pull gently, and it'll get it in there for you. So we're going to pull this thread till the ends are even. So I've got my ends all lined up, and the other ends attached to the needle. I'm going to take my ends, make a loop, poke through the hole, pull to make a knot. That way this will have something to get stuck on. So I will put the button where I want it, put the needle on here, pull until the knot hits, and then we go down, pull again. Then you have to do some gentle poking to find out where your hole needs to go. There we go. So I have an eye on here. And since I'm going to sew more over here, I don't have to tie it off at the moment. I am going to cut this little tail so it doesn't get in my way. So I wanted to have an X for an eye over here so it looks like the button fell off. So I'm going to pull up and be gentle so this doesn't bunch up in the middle. Turn around, down, poke, up, turn around, down. So now he's got a button eye and a missing eye. And then most of the Ugly Dolls had a nice straight line for a mouth. We can always add other details later if we have time. We can glue on some teeth or tongues in the future. So my eye, I stopped here, so I'm going to skip down right there, up, and then I can sew some little lines to make the mouth, or I can sew a big line to make the mouth. And then here's the tricky part for most students, the final knot. We need it so the knot is really close to your project. So I'm going to hold the thread, take the needle, pretend it's an airplane, it's going to fly around the thread and through, and I'm pulling it gently and holding it the whole time. Then I hold this down while I pull, and it makes it so the knot stays close to my project. So now I have the beginnings of an Ugly Doll. It's got a face. Ready to stitch your Ugly Doll together. We're going to get some thread. It can be the same color, it can be a different color, and repeat the threading process. So needle threader goes through the eye of the needle, put the yarn or the thread through that little wire, pull gently. And then like we did before, we're going to take the strands, make sure they're even on the end, and make the loop, poke through the hole, pull for your knot. Now when we sew this, we're sewing most of the way around, and then you have to stop so we can stuff it. So stuffing is usually easiest to do when you're not ending on a pointy area. So a flat part up here, or maybe down here by the leg, it would be easy to stuff that direction. So I think I'm going to start down here. And I don't want my knot to show, so I'm going to start on the inside and pull and tuck that in there so it's gone. And then I'm going to do what's called a whip stitch, where you're just doing the same motion over and over. So I sewed through, whip it around, poke, up, pull, whip it around, poke, up, pull. And I will repeat this all the way around. And you want your stitches to stay fairly close together, because if you have giant gaps, then when we go to stuff your ugly doll, you'll have giant places for your stuffing to fall out. We don't want it to fall out. So we keep working the whip stitch all the way around. I have now sewn as far as I can on this piece of thread. I cannot continue on to the very end where the needle is, because you're going to end up ripping your project or tearing something up. So my general rule is, when you have the length of your needle plus a couple inches, that's where you stop and you tie things off and you get more yarn. So one option would be to take this and poke it inside and then tie a knot inside it. Another option that's a little easier is I'm going to take the thread and just kind of go underneath a couple stitches. Do this a couple times. And I'm going through on the inside where you can't see it. And then cut, get the thread off. And like before, you want to take the needle threader, put that wire through the eye, thread goes through the wire, pull gently, and get your string so the ends are even. Make a loop, poke it through the hole, pull, and then you're going to go back and pick up where you left off. And like the last time, we make sure that knot is hidden on the inside. I cut the tail. There, knot is tucked away on the inside. And I can continue my whip stitch pattern. And I will do this all the way around, and I will stop when I get right here.